The Gauteng Education Department plans to hold a summit. The focus will be on mental health at schools. It follows the recent cases of suicides at the Tsakane Secondary School on Gauteng's East Rand. Let's talk more about this now with the Gauteng Education Department spokesperson, Mabona. Steve, a very good evening to you with us in studio tonight. So you have been out at the school to speak with some of the parents and the community. Is it any clearer to you now than it was, let's say, last week, what exactly is behind these cases there?
Good evening to all our viewers and you, Mkhototo. Look, it's not clear. We had a discussion with the parents. Our representation was there at the school. As you will know that we also invited the hospital, was represented by the CEO. We have stakeholders that we work with very closely, like SADC, and our sister department, social development. We hope that we were going to have a solution of some sort, but what we did was to then agree that on a continuous basis we need to engage with that community, because after the CEO's presentation, it actually turned out that it's not only learners that are, committing suicide or trying to commit suicide through, drinking poisonous stuff and all that. So it's more like, it's a societal issue or problem. That's why we felt that we really need to have a summit in that area.
And it was said yesterday, as you're saying, the CEO of the Polusong Regional Hospital said that 42 people were admitted to that hospital in June alone for attempting to take their own lives. So it's a community-wide problem, it appears, and I suppose you'd agree if I said, if we don't deal with the societal problem, there's no way in which the kids can be assisted if even the adults are exhibiting the same behavior.
Definitely. I mean, what is shocking to us is that last week on the 18th on Friday, one of our employees, a general worker
at the school,
also committed suicide while at home, drinking, poison. And so that's why we're saying it's quite concerning. And one of the, presidential youth employee initiative also, was trying to, or she indicated that it's going to commit suicide. And we had to call our officials to work very closely with the school, and they had, provide the professional assistance. So it's a challenge that we really need to tackle as a society. Hence, we're going to involve more or many stakeholders in the summit that we are facilitating.
And we'll talk about the summit in a moment, but at the school, Tsakane Secondary, you've got 2 pupils in the month of August who've died by suicide. You've got, as you were saying just last week, a general worker at the same school. Is there any indication, any suggestion that the cases may be linked?
Yes, they are. I mean, because to a certain extent, one of the learners tried to commit suicide in the glare of everyone that was watching at the school. And fortunately, he was then saved and sent to the medical facility. Before that, 2 weeks before that incident, there were 2 learners that were also taken to hospital after consuming, poisonous stuff. So we just don't understand what is triggering, all this. It's quite difficult for us. To a certain extent, that SADC, when they came to us to offer their services, we said, let them be stationed at the school. They've been there all on an everyday basis now, talking to learners, because they have a potential of managing all those learners, because they have a trauma center, which they will know how to then guide those learners not to, involve themselves in that. But also we have a partnership with Childline, 116. If you dial that number, there's professionals there. They can, assist adults and children. So we'll encourage learners to utilize that number on a frequent basis. And not only in Tsakane, because we had some cases in Garankuwa. So that's why I will encourage learners to utilize that number.
So what this also raises is the need for full-time psychosocial support on school premises. Counselors, for example, needed at schools. I know in the public education system it's not something that has been rolled out, at least not to that extent yet. You're now going into a summit. Are those some of the interventions that would be put on the table when such a gathering happens?
No, definitely, but that has been a need for many years. But it's just that, budgetary constraints sometimes, they dictate on what do you prioritize. And in the education, we'll always prioritize teachers. We'll always want teachers to be in the classroom. And all these other careers will link all schools to the district offices. And failing which, the Department of Social Development, because we work very closely with them, they then come handy and assist. And all these NGOs that are linked to that profession, they come handy and assist us. So that's how we are managing it now.
But ultimately, and I understand the budgetary pressures, right? So schools need teachers, you need to get desks, you need to get other day-to-day essentials. But what's happening in Tsakane is also a reminder that mental health or any other thing that may drive a person to the point where they want to end their own life, all of that, we're at a point where it's quite urgent in this country.
No, definitely. We cannot really underscore that. Hence, we are working very closely with our sister department, Department of Health, because we could have decided not to go with them in the meeting, but we felt that we need to bring them very closely so that any strategies that we'll be putting on the table, they are part of, and we'll be working with them very closely. So we have started. Moving forward, we will continue and rope in all other stakeholders that will come handy.
So let's talk about the summit then. When does it happen? What would you want to achieve?
It's more about getting to the bottom of what causes this and how can we then, working with the society, working with members of the community to try and alleviate this. So we are facilitating, we will announce the date and all those that will be inviting to the summit.
Steve Mabona, Gauteng Education Department Spokesperson, thank you so much for coming in tonight.